Episode 19, a very special episode where we are dabbling with the 2026 World Cup. And in today's episode, we will be dropping some early predictions, something that I've actually done back in 2018, where I actually did probables. I actually named 64 teams, I think. I didn't want to narrow it down to 48, so I named some extra teams that I think could qualify. But we're going to aim for 48. This is not final. These are early because we don't know the format of qualifiers and everything. And when the format of the qualifications come out officially, we will then go into that. So let's talk, bro. Let's start with AFC, where they do have 8 spots plus a team going into the playoffs, and they're up +4 actually, and a third. So I'm gonna go first, then you follow up. So
Dun, dun, dun.
then we'll actually compare and see the teams we have,
All right.
the similarities and differences and so on and so forth. So we're gonna start with Asia, and I'm gonna go for Japan, of course, because if you look at the current Japanese team and what they've done at this World Cup, you would love to believe that this team is going to have continuity, and they've qualified for every World Cup since 1998. And of course, South Korea, every World Cup since 1986. So I don't think the expansion would make them not qualify. Saudi Arabia, I doubted them for the last World Cup, which is 2022. They did okay, they made it, and you see some promise in that team that they could do it again. Iran, yeah, they're regulars. They're gonna be back. They're definitely gonna be back. Number 5, the UAE. They made
Ooh.
it to the playoffs, lost to Australia, but over the last few cycles, they've been showing promises, and they have qualified for the World Cup before, and I could see them making it back with the expansion. Number 6, Qatar. How could I talk about Asia and not mention Qatar? Within Asia, they're very good. Maybe against the other teams, not so good. Number 7, debutante, Vietnam. I've liked what I've seen from Vietnam. First time in the last rounds, and I could see them getting to very, very far in qualifiers and actually making it. And the last team, of course, Australia. They love to do things the hard way, but I have them qualifying directly this time. And my playoff team, Uzbekistan, where they could be potential debutants as well. Talk to me about your picks.
Those are solid choices. Had a mix of teams that are the cream of the crop in Asia, some teams that are making it back after a long hiatus, and then you have a debutant. Sounds like a good mix there, and all entirely plausible too with the expansion. So I have Japan, and I would look for Japan to possibly go on a deeper run in 2026, unlike they were unable to do this year, with much to their disappointment. South Korea, of course, World Cup mainstay, no other need to elaborate. Saudi Arabia is going to be back. They might not have Mr. Renard there at the helm, but they should be back. I have Australia. I have Iran. I have Qatar making it. They keep the current generation players they had with Ali and Haidos and all of them. I think they're very talented. They can make it back to a World Cup. And maybe they can do a little bit better in 2026. I also have the UAE. They just missed out on the playoffs to Australia this time around. Got closer to the World Cup than we thought they would. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? I have as my debutante, I have Bahrain. I think they're going to do it.
Wow. Where's Australia?
I did mention Australia.
Oh, okay.
Japan, Korea, Saudi Arabia, Australia, Iran, Qatar, UAE, Bahrain.
Playoff team.
And my playoff team is Uzbekistan.
Okay, so we got the same playoff team, and we got Vietnam and Bahrain as our debutants. Oh, okay, so pretty similar though. Wow, guys, let us know your picks from Asia to qualify for 2026. Pretty interesting. Like to revisit this sometime in the future and have a laugh. So CAF, who do have 9 teams plus playoff spot, they go up 4. And the teams that I'm picking to qualify from Africa are Senegal, of course. They've shown what they're capable of doing, reigning African champions. Egypt, you're going to love this. Okay, I must say, once they get rid of that format, Egypt should be back. But if they bring the format back, I feel sorry for you, bro. Nigeria, they do have the quality to make it back after missing out in 2022. Ghana, I'm gonna show some faith in Ghana. They have a young team and the future is definitely bright. Morocco, quarterfinalists 2022. And at the time of making this video, we don't know how far they'll get. Tunisia, not impressive on paper, not like it's not a team that everybody talks about, but find a way. They just find a way, man. Mali, debutants. They got closer last time, and I think they were very, very unlucky. Tunisia got the better of them. Algeria, oh man, I don't know how they didn't qualify for this World Cup, but they got very, very unlucky. And I went in with Cameroon to make it directly, and my playoff team, the Ivory Coast. There's a lot of teams from Africa. This was very, very difficult. I could have gone in with a South Africa or with, some other team, but these are the teams I think will make it from Africa. What about you?
Solid list. One thing I noticed when doing Africa is that it's quite hard because there's a lot of, no matter if you have 9 or 10 teams qualifying, you still have 2, 3, 4 teams that you give a second look to and you're like, you could squeeze in there. Like DR Congo, maybe South Africa. So my list, I have Morocco. I have Algeria. I have Nigeria. I have Cameroon. I have Mali, like you do, as a debutante. I have Cote d'Ivoire. I have Tunisia, Senegal. I have Burkina Faso as that last spot. And my playoff team is Bafana, South Africa.
Did you say Egypt?
No, we're not going to make it. You kidding me?
Oh, wow. This man, bro, I think you don't want to go and say you're going to qualify and then you actually don't, so that when you do qualify, he's going to change. These are only early prediction. He's going to change when the format comes out and he see it's not that format from 2014 and 2022.
It depends on the format. Other than that, I have to separate my heart from the pain because it's too much. It's like,
I know.
Yeah, no, but so my debutantes, I got Burkina Faso and Mali, and I'd like under this format, I like other teams to return, like Ivory Coast and South Africa. I actually think South Africa was unlucky not to make the playoffs in this last system.
So wait, you have South Africa going into the playoffs?
I have them as my going through the playoffs, and I like their odds of qualifying.
Okay, we will touch on the playoff teams that we think are going to qualify at the end. So
okay,
we move to CONCACAF, where there's 6 spots, but the hosts are eating up a lot of those spots, 3, so that realistically there's only 3 spots, but 2 teams going into the playoffs, where the host would have an extra playoff team and UEFA would have none. I'm wondering, when UEFA does host a 48-team World Cup, would they get a playoff team?
They might. I imagine they'll be given one more spot.
And do they get an extra playoff team? You see what I'm saying? Because who do you give that extra playoff team to if you don't give UEFA any? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but we'll touch on that when we cross that bridge eventually. For CONCACAF, man, look, the USA, Mexico, Canada qualify as hosts, and I have Costa Rica qualifying as well. I do think they're transitioning very nicely, blooding some fresh faces. Panama were quite unlucky not to make the 2022 World Cup. I think, Christensen did a great job, and unfortunately, they missed out, lost a bit of steam at the end, but they'll be back. I like El Salvador. I'm a bit skeptical, but I'm going to go for them. Continue with the current project, the scouting that they've done with all the young players, their home form and everything, improving the away form. El Salvador back at the World Cup to potentially improve that horrible World Cup record that they do have. Playoff teams, Curacao and Jamaica.
Now,
Honduras miss out.
how many directly qualify? It's U.S., Canada, Mexico, and then 3 others directly qualify,
Yeah.
right? And then, in addition to those 6, it's another 2 playoff teams.
Yes, and if the 2 CONCACAF teams do well in playoffs, both of them could qualify.
You have 8 teams there.
Yep, that's but you know, who that's very unlikely, but you never know.
So, my 6 direct teams I have the USA, Mexico, Canada. I have Panama. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have El Salvador.
Mm-hmm.
I like when I see under their manager Hugo Perez. I think they're building towards 2026. That's 5. And then my last direct spot, I'm going to give it to Jamaica. I think they can, bro.
You feel, I don't know, bro. You have a soft spot for Jamaica. I think you have a soft spot for. Listen, bro. These guys, I'm putting them in the playoffs because their confederation, not confederation, but the federation
is a mess.
Is a mess. You see
but
what I mean?
They're talented, man. They finished what, 6th in the Ocho, right? Man, if just 2-3 more games of just fine margins went their way, they could have been in that playoff spot.
I don't know, bro. I don't know, man. Because
my 2 playoff teams, that's going to be a surprise. I don't think Costa Rica qualifies because I don't think the new guard is coming in fast enough to replace the current generation. I don't know if Luis Fernando Suarez will stay there and help with that transition, or if it'll just be blown wide open and you know. But my 2 playoff teams are Honduras and Curacao.
So no Costa Rica in that mix.
You got to have some surprises somewhere.
Okay.
Now I don't have. I mean, we'll see what the format looks like when it comes out, and I might come around to Costa Rica if I see. Oh, okay, they're looking good.
These are early predictions, and
yes.
Honduras do have a good young crop of players. It's just that they weren't given the chance. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So we move to OFC. For me, I have New Zealand, the All Whites of New Zealand, qualifying for the World Cup again, where they made their debut at the 2010 World Cup and did not lose a single game. They drew all 3 games, and they remain the only team to not lose a game and not move on, right? I think they're the only team to not lose a game at the World Cup and not qualify for the knockout. Yeah, I don't think any other team drew all their 3 matches.
Yeah, you might be right about that. And certainly in 2010, they were the only undefeated team.
Yeah, but don't quote me on all of that though. But
who's your playoff team?
New Caledonia is my playoff team because the reason why I went with them, they had one of the recent OFC Champions League winner in Hinjin Sport. Mm-hmm. So, and they have another good team there too. So, good in terms of the OFC level. All right, let's not get carried away here. But I'm going for New Caledonia. Solomon Islands, they looked good back in 2018. Who actually made the playoffs? Who was the playoffs against New Zealand the last time when they went to Qatar? Who played against New Zealand again? Was it Caledonia or Solomon Islands? Or they did have a tournament. Oh, no, they did have a tournament there, a mini tournament.
They played each other in that tournament, though.
Was that New Caledonia?
It was Solomon Islands, just like it was in 2018 when they had that home and away leg. So,
okay, but COVID did affect the whole tournament too, so
sure.
But
yeah.
I'm gonna go for New Caledonia though. But what about you for OFC?
You disrespected Tonga for the last time. No, New Zealand is going to qualify. And my playoff team, it was kind of tough. I went with Papua New Guinea.
Okay.
I was between them and New Caledonia.
All right.
Islands, of course, Solomon Islands are always in the mix. They have a couple of decent players, like this guy, Micah Lea'alafa. He plays for Auckland City FC in the OC Champions League. But I went with Papua New Guinea.
Man, I can't wait for Jamaica versus Papua New Guinea or the Ivory Coast versus Papua. That'll be some big games, man. Look, we're going to move and let's leave UEFA for last and let's talk CONMEBOL. For me, Brazil, every World Cup they qualify, probably go perfect again. Argentina, they're playing well. Lionel Messi will be around for that cycle. Don't know if he'll be there for the World Cup, but he'll be there playing in World Cup qualifiers unless he gets knocked out in a few days and he chooses to retire.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Ecuador. I like the young Ecuador crop. I think they'll make it. Uruguay. I like what I see coming in from Uruguay. Even though Suarez and Cavani and Godin and Co are going out, there's still Fede Valverde, Pelistri, De Ascareta, Jose Maria Jimenez, and there's a good bit of youngsters there still. So I'm going to go for Uruguay. Peru, very unlucky to miss out, even though their team is getting a bit older, but expect a lot of these guys to still be playing at the highest levels and to help the team qualify. And maybe 2026 would be like their last World Cup. I have Colombia making it back. I was kind of skeptical about them, but I'm like, I don't see them missing 2 World Cups. And for the playoffs, I have Chile. So which means I have Paraguay, Bolivia, and Venezuela missing out all together. What about you?
We have some differences here. So Brazil, Argentina, I think for sure. I agree with you on Ecuador and Uruguay for the reasons you gave. You put it perfectly. Ecuador, especially the young generation they have coming up. I thought that I was kind of disappointed they didn't come through the groups this time. I think they're very well coached. A lot of really hard-working young players. Uruguay, they're going to be fine because even when Cavani, Suarez, Muslera, those guys leave, they have a whole bunch of talent. Uruguay's never short on talent. So those 4 are going to make it back. I agree Colombia will return to the World Cup. It's hard to see them missing out for too long. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The last direct spot I actually have Paraguay because I think Chile, I don't see anyone coming up through the ranks now in Chile. They look deader than dead.
The reason why I went with Chile is because I think the current guys would participate in World Cup qualifiers, and they have that guy Ben Brereton coming through. You know what I mean? Eric Pulgar. These guys are still at a very good. Even Alexis Sanchez and Arturo Vidal, I think, would be around the national team still to help them. Maybe they won't be there in 2026, but at least at the beginning, and they would start finding replacement. That's just the way I saw it, though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I get you. I'm just really skeptical about Chile because of the
yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
And also for the same reasons you cite about Peru and their aging squad. I have a couple Peruvian friends. I wanted to include them here. I don't have them. I have Paraguay taking the last direct spot. And because by the time 2026 rolls around, it'll be 16 years since we've seen Paraguay at a World Cup. Part of me thinks that we're due for a change in that. My playoff team, I'm a romantic. I have Venezuela in the playoff.
Wow, I like that. Which brings us to the last confederation, UEFA. Let me just say this. I won't be doing any analysis because this will take a long time, maybe 2-3 seconds the most, analyzing these teams. But France are going to be back. Norway, just because of Erling Haaland and Odegaard and all these talented young players they do have, I can't see them missing another World Cup. England, Spain, the Netherlands, Portugal, Croatia, because they transitioned in very, very nicely. Turkey, for the first time since 2002, because I like what I saw with Stefan Kuntz and, the direction he was actually taking the team. So let's see what goes on there. Ukraine, very unlucky not to qualify, and I could see them coming through with a lot of these youngsters, especially Mikhailo Mudryk and Shaparenko and Shigankov and all these guys. Switzerland is not a Switzerland like a Tunisia, and you don't really think about them too much, but they're just always there, bro.
Italia. If they miss out again, they need to suspend the whole program. I will personally petition to have it dissolved.
Bro, if they don't qualify again, it might as well just revamp the whole thing for real, man.
Revoke those 4 titles.
Exactly. Look, Belgium, even though their golden generation failed, I still think they will come back fresh. You know what I'm saying? Jeremy Doku, Charles de Ketelaere, Onana, Amadou Onana, Tillemans. You still have, some good players there. Lukaku isn't old. You see what I'm saying? So, and they do have some good defenders that they didn't use at the World Cup. Surprise. Hungary. When was the last time they qualified for the World Cup, though?
Either 82 or 86.
Hungary. Look at what they've been doing in the Nations League. That's all I'm going to say. If they don't qualify for this World Cup, I'll be really, really disappointed. The Germans. The failures. I mean, debutants. North Macedonia. This must continue. I would have loved to see them at this World Cup, but didn't make it. And of course, it would have been very harsh not to pick this team, but I went with Serbia. They're a good qualifying team, but tournament-wise, not so much. I didn't pick any of the other British countries, not Ireland, not Austria, Romania. Some of these countries, Iceland, miss out. Did I miss any big ones? I don't think so. Maybe Sweden. I didn't pick Sweden because I'm just still pissed off at Sweden, Greece as well. What about you?
You named 16 already?
Yeah, I named 16.
Okay. So I have Portugal, Spain, France. That's the big shock, right? Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, Italy better make it, so they're going to make it. I have them here. England, all heavy hitters so far. That's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just to get that out of the way. I have Belgium making it back. 9. I agree with Ukraine. Very close. Talented squad. That's 10. I have Norway as well. We're going to see Holland on the big stage in North America, and it's going to be amazing. I have Croatia making it back because I think they've proved me wrong in like reintegrating some new fresh faces in their squad. I have Austria qualifying. I think they're going to come back. And that means I have 2 more teams left? No, 3 more. I have Hungary as well. I agree with you.
Okay.
I wrote down Hungary for the reasons you mentioned, like the Nations League. I think they're going to qualify. And I wrote down the last 2 I wrote. I think Scotland can do it.
Okay.
I think they can, man. I think we're looking at possibly like a Wales, the first Euro situation. I mean, they didn't do well in the Euros like Wales did, but like Wales made the Euros. They didn't make the World Cup. They made it back to the Euros, and they finally made the World Cup. I think we could see something like that.
Scotland are due a World Cup too. 1998, the last time they qualified.
We have 13 out of the 16 same teams. The last one I have here, I have Greece making it back.
Greece. So do a count. Make sure you have everything.
Yeah. So 16, Portugal, Spain, France, Netherlands, Germany, Switzerland, Italy, England. That's 8. I have Hungary like you. That's 9. Ukraine like you. That's 10. Norway like you. That's 11. Croatia like you. That's 12. Belgium like you. That's 13. And my 3 differences are I have Austria, Scotland, and Greece qualified.
Okay. Fair enough. So you don't have any debutants coming out of.
As of now, I don't. But some notable omissions are Serbia. I've been way more ruthless than you. I am done with Serbia, bro. I am done. They're making me look like fucking like I need to be put into Clowns FC. But like,
what about Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, Bosnia? I think we'll see some of these countries back, but for now, I'm not convinced, man.
And I don't have Denmark either, which is amazing.
I don't have them.
Me neither. Yeah, that's crazy.
For some reason, like I think it was kind of for some reason, right? I was writing it up, and I was like, I was supposed to scratch out some team, and I don't know. Maybe I got distracted, and I was like, and I didn't scratch out any team, and I don't have them because I think they might qualify, but you never know, man. You never know. Denmark, they I don't know. They were devoid of ideas, And we've seen a few matches against the Faroe Islands where they look kind of suspect. You see what I'm saying? So,
And Poland, you and I both don't have Poland.
Yeah, I don't have Poland either. So,
yeah.
Let's see. But could we see countries like Belarus, Kazakhstan, Israel? Some of these countries I think will make it though, but these are just our early predictions.
Yep.
So we go into the playoffs, bro. I have this is the draw that I put together for me, right? I have Jamaica, Curacao, Chile, New Caledonia, Ivory Coast, and Uzbekistan. I was actually supposed to do like a real draw because I just wrote them down. But I have Jamaica, the Ivory Coast, and Uzbekistan in the same group. I reckon that two CONCACAF teams cannot be in the same group, right? And how does the playoffs go again? Let's check the playoffs. So sure. I'm gonna double check the playoff tournament, and we are gonna touch on the playoff tournament. So for the playoff, right? A playoff tournament involving 6 teams will be held to decide the last 2 FIFA World Cup berths, consisting of 1 team per confederation, except for UEFA, and an additional team from the confederation hosting the tournament, CONCACAF, right? 2 of the teams will be seeded based on FIFA rankings, right? So the seeded teams will play for the FIFA World Cup berth against the winners of the first 2 knockout games involving the 4 unseeded teams. So with that being said, I think we will see Chile and the Ivory Coast weigh in for Jamaica versus Uzbekistan and Curacao versus New Caledonia in my case, right? And then the tournament, then it says the 2 of the teams that will be seeded based on FIFA rankings, the seeded teams will play for the berth against the winners of the first 2 knockout games involving the 4 unseeded teams. The tournament is to be played in one or more of the host countries and is to be used as a test event for the FIFA World Cup. The existing playoffs scheduled for November of 2025 have been suggested as a tentative date for the 2026 edition. So how you feel about that though?
Okay, it makes sense. Is there a way, can you do a screen share of that where you have the playoff format?
No, okay, the playoff format. Let me let you know the playoff format.
Just want to make sure I go.
The highest ranked teams will be just sitting, waiting. They'll be the seeded teams in the playoffs. Remember, they already played. They'll be the seeded teams waiting to play the winner of the 2 first matches. So like the 2 unseeded teams will play each other, and the other 2 unseeded teams will play against each other, and the winners would meet against the 2 seeded teams, and then the winner of that game would then qualify. You have 2 teams coming out of the playoffs. Make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I got it.
Yeah, so we might see. You never know what we might see there, but look, if I have to take a pick, man, I'm gonna say the Ivory Coast and Chile. They'll come through because more than likely they'll meet some weaker teams, but we could see underdog stories being written, a fairy tale run by one of these teams as well.
Okay. I also have both my African and South American representative taking those spots, and in this case, you have Chile and Ivory Coast. I have South Africa and Venezuela.
All right, fair enough, man. Fair enough. So that's our 4018 prediction for the 2026 World Cup, the early edition. I see the double episodes have really taken a toll on you, man.
Oh, no.
Guys, make sure you go check out episode 18 where we did an overview of the 2026 World Cup. So it was fun. It was fun, though. It was definitely fun.
Just so you guys know, I'm always tired. That's my natural state. But yeah, fun, man, I really enjoyed this. It's a lot of good material for guys like us who eat this stuff up, and this will be something to return to see if we were way out of line or if we were on to something, and we get to enjoy it, have a laugh or two. So thank you for having me on for this. I really enjoyed this, actually. You can find me on my YouTube channel. You can find me on Twitter, Football Pharaoh at Soccer Pharaoh. That's at soccer_Pharaoh. And give us your feedback on this. Actually, why don't you guys give us your lists of teams you think could make it based on the format, and give us feedback on what you think of the format too. So until next time, hopefully we'll see you soon, God willing. Peace out.
Peace.